Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team, and welcome to this 30-minute keynote with Doreen Virtue. Doreen Virtue holds a BA, MA, and PhD degrees in counseling psychology and is a lifelong clairvoyant who works with the angelic realm and helps millions of people through her books, lectures, and social media programs. She is also the best-selling author with Hay House. As we get started, I'd like to thank all of the people participating today on the Amplifio platform by phone, webcast, and replay. We have an enormous audience who have registered for Global Oneness Day and who are participating live during this summit. I also want to thank the thousands who are participating in on-the-ground programs, including church events, programs in Mexico and Argentina, global rhythm circles, and other community events. This is our 7th year celebrating Global Oneness Day, and we've grown our number of registrants and listeners each year. Over 200,000 have registered to participate during this time frame. Thank you to each of you for helping Global Oneness Day become our Earth Day for an awakened humanity. Okay, I'm going to introduce our special guest now. Dr. Doreen Virtue is a clairvoyant metaphysician who works with angel therapy in her writing and teaching activities. She is the author of over 50 books and is an international workshop leader. Doreen worked as a psychotherapist until her life was saved by divine intervention in July 1995. After that experience, Doreen has focused solely upon her researching and teaching about divine intervention. Since 1996, Doreen has taught tens of thousands of people worldwide how to engage in angel therapy. Angel therapy is a spiritual healing method that involves working with a person's guardian angels and angels. Doreen is a good friend, a close friend of Global Oneness Day and Humanities Team, and welcome to Global Oneness Day, Doreen. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, how are you? Yes, I'm so excited to be back with you again. I think this is my 3rd or 4th year with you.
Yeah, it is, and thank you for making the time. We really appreciate it, Doreen, so much. Appreciate these programs with you. And, gosh, this is only 30 minutes, so I'm just going to jump right into questions because there's so much that we could talk about that where you'll be sharing wisdom and heart energy, et cetera. So I thought we'd start at the top with, in this role of worldwide workshop leader, author, et cetera, how does oneness play a role in your lectures, writing, and speaking events?
It's everything. We teach that which we need to learn, so it reinforces to me. And every time that I'm out there, because my background is psychology, and with psychology you have that overriding schooling to help people to feel at peace and to be happy. And then, of course, everyone on the spiritual path has that same intention. So I really feel like when I began teaching about angels, that's when I started seeing my audience members shift from they'd come in and they'd be nervous, uptight, they just were uncomfortable, and then I would watch them relax like lotus flowers opening, and it had a unifying effect on everyone around them and also on me. So you can't help someone without helping yourself with this. And a big part of my mission has always been helping people who had painful experiences with religion or felt like their prayers weren't answered to return to Source, God, and without all the guilt or fear.
Yeah, awesome. And gosh, let me say, Doreen, too, just on your Doreen has a huge Facebook page, Doreen Virtue, and it's 1.3 million something. But I love the videos that you're always putting up where you are so relaxed, just as you mentioned. You said just people dropping stresses and fears and opening up like a lotus. And I can see how that's true because you do that. You embody that in your videos and in your work. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my videos are very goofy because we have animals with us. And, I think Johnny Carson said never have children and animals with you on stage because they're unpredictable and they steal the show, which is what I love. So every week on my videos we feature some animal, either rescue or a pet, and they just we don't know what's going to happen, and that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, I remember back, I think it might have been last year, but you had a rescue dog with you, and it chewed through the phone lines, and you had to so you had to over and out and then come back in later. But that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've had a few of those. Mm-hmm.
So,
I'll be out with the cows or the donkeys, and they'll just be right in front of the camera, and you can't even see me. So I'm peeking my head over a cow. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, and of course these animals are in this divine oneness consciousness, aren't they? So, which is beautiful.
Oh, well, my prayer, of course, because I've been a vegan for 20 years, is that we will recognize our kinship with all of life, and the ultimate is to honor life itself, and that includes, if you're guided to cut down on meat or cut down on animal products or even go vegan. And I'm living proof that being a vegan is a healthy path, because I'm pushing 60 now and I feel 17. I just feel like younger than ever. So I really feel like it's a fountain of the youth secret that I hope gets out there. It's sure a lot easier to be vegan now than when I started. There's so many alternatives. And this young friend of mine, who's a vegan, she must be 25, and I said, yeah, I've been a vegan for 20 years. She said, oh, you were a vegan long before it was cool to do so. And that just tickled me.
Well, great. We're going to come back to that. So I've got that here in the parking lot, because I want to just kind of stair-step down this path for people that aren't familiar with your work, Doreen, and I'm sure many are, but for listeners that aren't, can you explain what angel therapy is as a spiritual healing method, just to kind of frame that for people?
Well, thank you. Angel therapy is a way of communicating more clearly with the guardian angels that God has assigned to every single person. And I love them because they unify us across any religious or spiritual divides. Because, people disagree about God and about Jesus or this ascended master, but almost everyone can agree on angels. So one of my greatest joys through the 25 years that I toured the world teaching about angels was having people sit next to each other that normally probably wouldn't agree on anything. I remember one class where there was literally a Catholic priest wearing the collar next to someone who was Jewish, next to someone who was Wiccan. And they completely got along because angels were their unifying factor. So angel therapy is when we all get messages from our angels, but angel therapy takes it to the level of really listening and taking their messages literally. I've been misunderstood through the years. People have thought I've said worship angels, which is I would never say, because they don't want to be worshipped. They're extensions of God, just like we are. And the guardian angels we all have are bridges between the ego and the higher self. So, in God's consciousness, it's all one, it's all love. There's no separation at all. But in everyday life, we slip in and out of our ego and separation thoughts. So the angels understand that. They understand when we go in our ego, and they're compassionate, and they just bring us back home. We help us to forgive, help us to release judgments, and go back to peace.
Yeah, wonderful, boy. And in today's world, I'm sure you're speaking to everybody here, Doreen.
Well, it's a balancing time right now, because you want to be aware of what's going on in the world, but you don't want to get sucked into judgment over it. And the more and more people are becoming sensitive. This is the most heightened time that I ever remember of people being aware of when something's true or not. So you get a lot of suspicion going on about, what the media is saying, about institutions, about politics. And so what do you do with all that, those feelings of you're being lied to while staying at peace? And social media shows you upsetting pictures and articles, and how do you stay compassionate and not close down in the face of all that pain and suffering that you are accosted with on social media? And so that's where it's more important than ever that we immerse ourselves in spiritual practices like praying without ceasing, I think, is essential, however you pray, and taking excellent care of our bodies through stretching or yoga or Pilates or nature walks. Eating clean is absolutely non-optional anymore, and that means, as chemical-free and as unprocessed as possible. Just we are here for this time to be living role models of peace, and we can't have spiritual healers and teachers being distracted and diverted by all the drama.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Yes, amen. And I love that, praying without ceasing, just where we're in the flow, aren't we? Where we're, even now, as we're just standing here, I have this beautiful window with nature outside my window, and you can just feel straight into that divine consciousness, that essence, that oneness that we're all a part of, and which is this whole praying. There are different ways to say that, but I love that, praying without ceasing. Of course, that was, I think...
Paul, that was... Yes, Paul and Francis both said that, and I think it's more applicable now than ever with... you can either look at the world as a dangerous place and that it's going downhill, or you can look at it as a project. Oh, this is something that needs my help, and that's the way I choose to look at it. Yes, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to just keep stair-stepping down here because I think, the practical application of just how people can do this, I'm sure, is going to be valuable. So how do you use angel therapy to help others to clearly receive their own divine guidance? Well, one of the beautiful aspects of angel therapy is realizing you're never alone. It's so easy to feel abandoned, rejected, criticized, overwhelmed. What can one person do? But when you really tune in to this presence that's with you, that you not only can connect directly to Source, to God, but if you're stressed, sometimes we can't reach that high vibration of pure love. It's easy to talk to God when you're in a room alone meditating, but can you feel that high vibration when you're driving in traffic and you're late for work? That's where the angels come in because, again, they're the bridge between ego and higher self. So all we have to do is ask for their help. They all adhere to the law of free will, which says that no one can intervene without your express permission. And the nice thing is it doesn't matter how you ask for permission. It's just you have to ask, and you can think it, you can say it out loud, you can write it, you can affirm it, you can supplicate it, begging for help. So angel therapy means being consciously aware of your guardian angels that every single person has, without exception, just like every person has lungs and a heart. You couldn't survive this planet without angels. I think of them like astronauts who've got the lifeline to the ship. That's what they are. They're lifelines to heaven for us. So consciously being aware of them, calling on them. Again, we're not praying to angels or worshiping them. And you can ask God, please help me. And he'll send your angels to you, or just say, guardian angels, please help me with this. And you'll feel this warm blanket of energy around you that is so calming and helps you to get centered again. So you don't have to struggle to try and find peace in harsh situations. Yeah, beautiful. Boy, let's stay with this, Doreen, because I'm guessing that a lot of listeners have, an experience similar to my own. I've got an 11-year-old and 14-year-old, and of course, doing what I do, this whole discussion of the divine, of God, this one presence that we're all connected to, and angels and guardian angels, archangels, Jesus, etc., is a common discussion in our home. But even my daughter, who can stay in the energy most of the time, will come into lots of stress points where she just really has trouble. And, of course, that's when we, can use most this assistance of the angelic realm. And my son just, he feels angels and even feels his grandfather who's departed. But he struggles. He has anxiety a lot of the time. And he's challenged to really to find and stay in this energy. So for people that struggle with this, how can they just more believe and understand and embrace this unseen realm, and how can they know and trust and use, so to speak, these angels and Jesus, God, and the whole angelic realm, as you point out, that's always here for us. Always here for us. And one of the things that I teach is that you don't have to believe in them. You can treat it like you would a scientist who would experiment with a hypothesis, and this hypothesis is that you have all of this help from heaven available to you whenever you ask. And so experiment with that by asking for help and notice what happens. And gosh, so many people that I've worked with through the years have approached it as a skeptic and said, okay, let's test this and prove it. And heaven doesn't take offense to that attitude. Heaven is welcoming skeptics. So the main way you switch from skepticism or even believing to knowing is through experiences. The reason that I believe so deeply is because I've had these experiences, including having, as you mentioned at the intro, my life saved by no explanation except for divine intervention in 1995. So, when you have these experiences, you just know they're there. And so anyone who's skeptical, try it. Just try it. No one needs to know you're trying it. You can do it just between you and God. They're non-denominational. Sometimes people are afraid that you have to go to, and they've had a bad experience with some sort of religious institution, and you have to earn this, or they fear that you have to be saint-like and perfect, and nobody is. I mean, everyone in this world makes mistakes and goes in their ego. So you don't have to be saintly. You don't have to belong to a certain religion. You don't have to earn the help. Just like having lungs and a heart, as I said earlier, you've got them. And they want to help us. Every day the angels pray, maybe today he or she will ask me for help. And allow the help is the next step, because once you ask the angels for help, it comes. And will you get scared by that? Is that too spooky for you? Or will you welcome the help and say, okay, I can allow myself to be supported? It's very analogous to how you treat situations similarly when a person offers to help you. Do you see that as an affront on your strengths, that it's a sign that you're weak or you'll be obligated then? Do you push help away because you don't want to bother people? You'll probably do the same thing with God's help coming in.
Yeah, amen to that. And it is true, too, just as you point out, the further you go down the path, the more of the supernatural or miracle or, God experiences that you have, the more trust you build. You just know that unseen realm is there. You know it.
You do. And you mentioned Jesus, too, and I just want to briefly go on to Jesus, because Jesus has been coming up so strongly with wanting to be more involved with helping everyone in the world. And when I started my career 25 years ago, I didn't consider myself a New Ager. I was raised Christian, but in kind of a new unity. But I didn't know that was considered New Age, because it seemed normal to me. But then when I was published by Hay House and I started getting on the stages of New Age events, people who had been there a long time, they said, don't talk about Jesus, you'll offend people. These are a lot of, and they would use this term recovering Catholics, and I never understood that. It made me kind of sad to hear. And they would say things like, call him Sananda or Yeshua, and don't wear crosses on stage. And I got all these fear-based messages about Jesus, and I didn't know how to handle that. And now that I'm older and I don't care so much what people think, it's just I follow my truth. I realized that a lot of people have thrown the baby out with the bathwater. Jesus is amazing. He's non-denominational. He has nothing to do with guilt or judgment or, making you feel sad for the crucifixion. That's not even in the realm of Jesus. Jesus is this superhero and the hardest working ascended master out there. And one of the things that blew my mind, Steve, and I want to just recommend this to listeners who are interested, is to go on YouTube and type in the search term Jesus near-death experience. Jesus near-death experience. I think most of us remember Betty Eadie, who wrote that beautiful book, Saved by the Light, back in the 80s. But there are video after video after video all around the world of people who went into this kind of holding place after they died that was kind of lonely and scary, and Jesus came and took them out of it. And people who are agnostic and of different faiths, and he just came and rescued them. And I mean, this is someone you want to know. Jesus is someone who brings happiness and peace, and he's the most amazing healer and wordsmith if you want to write or give speeches. And he doesn't ask for anything in return. That's what religions do. But I think we get that all confused, don't you?
Yeah, I'm so glad you decided to underscore this one, because for me personally, Doreen. Certainly angels, archangels, my guardian angels, and others too. Other guardian angels for others that are involved in things that are going on in my life. But Jesus, when I've got my most challenging things in front of me, where I know I can't, I need to be fail-safe. There's no room for error. Jesus is right in there. And it's a short list. There are three. And Jesus is in there because that strength, that power, that healing energy, that it is fail-safe. It just he's unmovable in his energy.
He's superhero, yeah.
Yeah. So wonderful.
And he'll go to anyone. I'm still kind of walking on eggshells of teaching about Jesus because of so many people when I was first giving speeches in New Age territory said, don't talk about Jesus because no one wants to hear about him. And I still find that a little bit. There's people are afraid of the patriarchal, pronouns he and father and all that. And I just look past that. And I really see Jesus as being pro-life, pro-people, not man or woman or any separation at all. Just he wants to help us all to survive and be at peace and be safe and happy. And you're right, he is like the ultimate partner if you need to go down the valley of the shadow of death. He's right there, making sure you're safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, Mother Mary, and I see you posting there as well, and she is also just, whoa. Oh. She is right here right now, isn't she? And
she's the mother of us all. Yeah, anyone who's got mother wounds, too, if you had any kind of problems with your mom or a grief, she's the ultimate nurturing mother. And she taught me how to balance being feminine and strong. Because, when I was growing up, I thought that being feminine meant passive and kind of weak. And you give everyone else the rights. And, codependent, I guess, is the definition I had for femininity. But when I started working with Mother Mary, and I wasn't raised Catholic, so she was someone that I knew from the Christmas story, and that was about it. And then when I started to see her when I was giving readings and connect with her, and then I went to Lourdes in France, where I was just floored by that. That place changed my life. Her energy and the angels there. I can't even speak about it coherently, but the bottom line is Jesus and Mother Mary are available to each and every one of us, no matter what our religious or spiritual path, no matter what kind of experiences we've had with organized religions. I would say that it's essential for all of us to connect at that high level right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it is. And because this birth has happened, and this transformation, this shift, this awakening, and it's maturing, and we all have a role to play. So, and it's huge where the supernatural comes in through a relationship with God, the divine, Jesus, Mother Mary, archangels, angels. For me, I couldn't do what I do without that energy, and I suspect that might be true for everybody.
I think it's like I said, more than ever right now, Jesus is coming to people and saying, come back to me. And it's confusing people. They don't know, am I supposed to go to a Christian church? Michael and I do attend a Christian church because we do love to be immersed in Jesus and Holy Spirit energy. We found this church called Foursquare that is just, it focuses on resurrection instead of crucifixion. And we're so happy. We walk out of that church just filled with Holy Spirit energy, and it just carries us through the week. So I think, Jesus is asking people to come back to him, but in a whole new way, a love-based way.
That's beautiful. Well, let's see, in 3 minutes, gosh, there are two things, there may not be time to get to these two things, but let me just see if we can. One, you brought in vegan, and ways that we can just eat whole foods and things. But one of the things you said about a year ago, Doreen, you said that angels had expressed to you that we're like finely tuned pianos, and the more that we do to create healthy living, the more we can be fulfilled. And this is where I said I wanted to come back to being vegan and other things that you talked about that I think speak to this. Can you share a little more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk for hours on manifestation. Nobody's stuck or blocked except for when we don't listen. And when we complain or blame, it's the biggest disservice we can do to ourselves. So the first food you've got to feed yourself is positive words. It's so essential to watch your words carefully. I wrote a book with my son called Angel Words, in which you can see computer graphs of what negative and positive words look like. And positive words have such high vibrations. Negative words have no vibrations. And you can change your life by speaking positively. And the second thing is the angels taught me that if you want to instantly manifest something, you've got to have high energy. And they said energy can come from exercise, from fresh air, and that's why they don't like people smoking, because that takes away from your fresh air. And they said also the life force in foods. So the highest life force comes from freshly picked, sun-ripened organic produce, because it's just filled with life. And the longer that it sits on the shelf, the more it's processed or frozen or microwaved, the more the life force goes down. The things that are low life force are pesticides, because that means kill, bad life force and no life force, and anything that had pain involved with it. Now, I know sometimes people say, well, the plants have pain, and there is some truth in that. The ultimate way to eat would be fruitarian, if there's a way to safely do it, because the trees give you willingly the fruits. But if you study how animals are treated in factory farms these days, the misery that they have their whole life, and that includes the slaughter, that pain energy is in the flesh, and it pulls you down, and it creates headaches and other physical issues, not to mention the growth hormones and the awful chemicals that they give to animals, genetically modified food, etc. So veganism, as long as it's organic and not junk veganism, gives you so much energy that you can manifest like that, just instantly, whatever you need. And that's the promise that we've been given to all of us. It's like the lilies in the field, the Sermon on the Mount. There's nothing being blocked from you. There's nothing being withheld from you, except we do that to ourselves because we're that powerful. But we can turn it around instantly, too.
Yeah, beautiful. And you've got a great post on just spiritual power that you come into through this whole relationship with the divine and angels. It's on your Facebook page today. People should friend that, the Doreen Virtue Facebook page. Doreen, I'm going to just cover a few things here because we're now at the end of this program, but how can people follow you and your work?
Well, as you said, the Facebook page, Doreen Virtue 444, or my website, angeltherapy.com. It's got lots of freebies on it, like you can get free angel card readings on there, or find out what angel numbers mean, like when you keep seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 or 444, what does that mean? And lots of free meditations on that page as well, on angeltherapy.com.
All right, free meditations and angel inspirations. Thank you so much, Doreen. Whoa, what an amazing half hour. So thank you so much for just your wisdom and what the inspiring things you share, the invitations to people regarding lifestyle and more, and just your heart energy. So thank you so much. You're awesome, and look forward to being back together with you soon. Doreen lives over in Hawaii. So I also want to thank the 2016 Global Oneness Day co-creators and my Humanities Team colleagues and partners who have worked so hard for a year planning and producing Global Oneness Day 2016. Finally, thank you to each of you, all of you who are listening, the participants in Global Oneness Day. I want to invite you to go to Doreen's keynote event schedule page on the globalonenesssummit.com site to leave your comments and inspirations. Next up is the Restoring the Earth panel, and distinguished leaders and activists on this year's panel include Andrew Harvey, Shuteska Martinez, this young 16-year-old young man who leads Earth Guardians, James O'Day, and Cassandra Veaton. She's the executive director of the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Stephen Dinan is moderating this panel. You'll be amazed at the actions that are being taken in oneness to restore the Earth. So this is going to be a really exciting panel. Be sure to stay tuned. Before we go to our next program, we're going to enjoy a oneness moment and experience 10 seconds of silence so we may connect with the divine within and each other. Let's go ahead and begin our oneness moment now.